In July 2025, a handbag sold at Sotheby's in Paris for €8.6 million. It was not made from rare, diamond-encrusted crocodile skin. It was not a limited edition. It was not a collaboration with a famous artist. It was a black leather Birkin, scuffed, scratched, stained from actual use over a decade. The reason it sold for what a private island in Bali would cost you is that it was the very first Birkin ever made. The one that Jane Birkin herself used every single day from 1985 to 1994, and a Japanese collector decided that was worth €8.6 million. That sale tells you everything you need to know about what a Birkin actually is. It is not a handbag. It is a document of access, history, and status that happens to hold your belongings. And here is what most people get wrong about Birkins. They think owning one means you have arrived. But inside the world of serious Hermès collecting, a standard leather Birkin is only the beginning. There are Birkins that newer clients might eventually be offered after months of boutique loyalty. There are Birkins that require years of relationship building and serious spending across every category. And there are Birkins so rare that even very wealthy people who have spent enormous amounts at Hermès over many years may still never receive one.
These are the 7 levels of Birkin bags, from the ones normal millionaires buy to the pieces that money alone cannot guarantee. And by the end, you will understand why at the highest level, the real flex is not the price, it is the access. Level 1. Normal Millionaire Birkins. Difficulty 1 out of 7. Level 1 is the entry point into the real Birkin world. And it is worth being clear about what entry point means here, because entry point in this context is still an extremely expensive, genuinely difficult to obtain luxury object that most people on Earth will never touch. At this level, the bags are usually larger sizes, the Birkin 35 or the Birkin 40, less viral colorways that are beautiful but are not currently being chased by every collector, every fashion account, and every wealthy client in the boutique at the same time. These might be older seasonal colors, or combinations that were desirable a few years ago, but have since settled into a more accessible tier of demand. A Birkin 35 in standard Togo leather starts at roughly $11,000 to $14,000 at the boutique, depending on the color and hardware. On the resale market, these pieces typically trade close to retail or modestly above it, which in the Birkin world is actually on the more accessible end. The person at level 1 is typically a newer Hermès client who has built some purchase history with the boutique. Industry coverage and long-time collectors consistently describe this as a relationship-based process. Boutiques keep detailed records of client purchases. The expectation, based on what consultants and former insiders describe, is that clients who are offered Birkins have generally spent meaningfully across other Hermès categories first: scarves, belts, shoes, ready-to-wear, home goods. The ratio people most commonly cite is spending roughly 1 to 3 times the value of the target bag on other items before becoming someone the boutique considers. At level 1, the bag is not necessarily the one you would have chosen. It is the one the boutique decided you had earned the right to be offered. That distinction is the entire game at every level that follows. This is the Birkin that says you are wealthy enough to be considered, not powerful enough to choose freely. Level 2, the everyday uniform Birkin. Difficulty 2 out of 7. Level 2 is where things get noticeably more competitive. These are the Birkins that wealthy women actually want to carry every day. Not too large, not too impractical, not too loud. The combinations that work at a board meeting, at a private members club, at a luxury hotel lobby, inside a chauffeur-driven car, and at a casual lunch with the same group of women who will all immediately know exactly what they are looking at. The Birkin 30 in neutral colorways: gold, taupe, black, gris, cray. Standard Togo or Clements leather with classic palladium or gold hardware.
A black Birkin 30 is not just a handbag. It is a uniform.
And that is exactly why it is harder to get than level 1. Everyone wants the same thing, the boutique has the same inventory pressures, and the people competing for those neutral 30s are not just casual aspirants. They are established clients who already have a relationship, already have a history, and are specifically asking for this combination. Retail price for a Birkin 30 in standard leather sits roughly in the $11,000 to $14,000 range. On the secondary market, popular neutral combinations regularly trade at a premium, sometimes significantly above retail, depending on condition and color. The wait, based on what collectors describe, can stretch into several months, even for well-established clients, and there is no official waitlist, no number, no confirmation, just a relationship that either produces an offer or does not. Level 2 is where the Birkin stops being a fantasy purchase and becomes part of a rich person's actual daily life. Level 3, the mini and trending Birkins, difficulty 3 out of 7. Level 3 is where size becomes status in a way that contradicts most luxury logic. In almost every other category, bigger signals more expensive. A larger yacht, a larger house, a larger stone in the ring. With Birkins, the smaller sizes are often harder to secure because they are more photographable, more fashionable among younger luxury buyers, and more visible in the kind of curated visual culture that now shapes what the most desirable version of a thing actually is. The Birkin 25 is the centerpiece of Level 3. It is the size you see in celebrity street style, in luxury influencer content, in the curated imagery that defines what aspirational looks like in 2025 and 2026. It photographs sharper, it sits on the arm differently, and because demand is significantly higher per unit of supply, it is meaningfully harder to be offered. The most difficult versions at this level are the highly trending colorways that everyone is asking for simultaneously. Rose Sakura when it was the moment, Cray, Gold, Black, the soft, neutral, Instagrammable shades that cycle in and out of being the specific thing the entire boutique's client list is requesting at once. A Birkin 25 in Togo leather retails in roughly the same general range as larger sizes, sometimes slightly less. On the secondary market, it can trade at a premium to the 30 and 35 because collector and resale demand has increasingly favored the smaller format. The wait at Level 3 can run many months into over a year, and the client at this level is not a newcomer. They have demonstrated consistent loyalty and meaningful spending across categories before this particular combination even becomes a conversation. At Level 3, you are no longer just carrying Hermès, you are carrying the version of Hermès that everyone else is trying to get. Level 4, Special Hardware Birkins, difficulty 4 out of 7. Level 4 is where the details start separating luxury from collector luxury. At first look, a bag at this level might appear similar to the levels below it, but people who understand Hermès know that hardware is not a finishing detail. It is a core component of desirability and rarity, and the right hardware combination paired with the right leather in the right color can transform a beautiful bag into a specifically sought-after one. This includes highly desired gold hardware pairings on certain leathers, brushed hardware in limited circulation, and specific color and hardware combinations that are produced in lower quantities or offered less frequently. The Birkin Cellier, a stiffer, structured version of the classic silhouette made with boxcar for other structured leathers, also sits in this tier. It requires more precise craftsmanship and is offered less commonly. What makes Level 4 genuinely harder is that you are no longer just waiting for any Birkin to be available. You are waiting for a specific Birkin. And the more specific your requirements, the longer and more relationship-dependent the process becomes. The typical person at this level is not a client who has demonstrated basic spending loyalty. They are someone the boutique knows well, whose preferences are understood, and whose history across Hermès categories has been built over enough time that the sales associate already has a sense of what to look for on their behalf. Level 4 is when the bag stops being about owning Hermès and starts being about being offered the right Hermès.
Level 5. Exotic Leather Birkins. Difficulty 5 out of 7. Level 5 is where the price jumps and the room gets noticeably smaller. Alligator, crocodile, ostrich. A Birkin in Niloticus crocodile can retail anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 at the boutique. On the secondary market, well-preserved exotics regularly go for more. But here is the part most people never hear about. A pristine exotic Birkin in the right color has made some collectors more money than storing that same amount in the stock market would have. The bag sat in a climate-controlled room. It never left the house. And it quietly outperformed what most financial advisors were doing with their clients' money in the same period. There are people who track the resale performance of exotic Birkins the same way others track their investment portfolios. This is also where the unspoken rule of the boutique becomes very clear. You are no longer being assessed on how much you want the bag. You are being assessed on how much you matter to the store. Not someone who bought 2 scarves and asked politely. Someone whose name the store manager already knows without checking a file. A standard leather Birkin signals wealth. An exotic signals you are in a much smaller room inside the same building.
Level 6. Special Order HSS Birkins. Difficulty 6 out of 7. Level 6 is where the power structure of the entire transaction flips. At every level below this one, you are waiting for the boutique to decide what to offer you. At level 6, the boutique invites you to tell them what you want made. To be clear, this is not the same as level 4. Level 4 is still picking from what already exists somewhere in the system. Level 6 is creating something that has never existed at all. And once it is made, it will never be made again. The HSS Birkin, short for Horseshoe stamp, is a custom bag. Your color combination, your contrast stitching. Color pairings that have never existed in any boutique inventory, and never will because they were made for you specifically. The Horseshoe stamp is pressed next to the Hermès logo inside the bag, and to most people, it is invisible. To collectors, it is one of the most loaded marks in the entire luxury world. Here is why. In the resale market, an HSS Birkin can sell for up to 50% more than the exact same bag without the stamp. Not because the leather is different or the hardware is rarer, because the stamp proves this color combination was made for one person and will never be repeated. It is the difference between a print and an original. Collectors call it a secret handshake. You can carry an HSS Birkin past 1,000 people and none of them will notice the stamp. But walk past the right person and they will clock it immediately, and they will know exactly what tier of Hermès relationship produced it. You cannot request this. The boutique extends an invitation, typically once or twice a year, to their most significant clients. The wait from design to delivery can run well over a year, and even then, Hermès decides whether to proceed.
Level 7. Holy Grail Birkins. Difficulty 7 out of 7. Level 7 is where the numbers stop making sense, in the best possible way. The Diamond Himalaya Birkin. According to Christie's, only 1 or 2 of these are produced anywhere in the world each year. Total, 1 or 2. Not per country, not per region, on the entire planet. The bag itself starts with Niloticus crocodile leather, hand-dyed in a gradient from dark grey to near white, meant to replicate the Himalayan mountain range under snow. The dyeing process alone is so complex that only a handful of artisans at Hermès can do it without ruining the skin.
Then 18-karat white gold hardware, over 200 pave diamonds. The lock alone contains more than 40 diamonds. A Diamond Himalaya Birkin 30 sold at Sotheby's for $450,000 in 2022. Another sold for $336,000 in February 2025. To put that number somewhere real, $336,000 is a luxury apartment in Lisbon.
a brand new Porsche 911, 2 years of private jet charter for a normal business traveller, for a handbag that Hermès makes once or twice a year. And even at that price, you cannot simply buy one. They are not listed for sale. They are placed with a specific person for reasons Hermès does not explain. Some clients have spent years and hundreds of thousands across boutiques worldwide and still never received an offer for one. Above even the diamond Himalaya sits the original, the scuffed, scratched, personally used black leather Birkin that Jane Birkin carried every single day from 1985 to 1999. Sotheby's sold it in July 2025 for 8.6 million euros. The auction opened at 1 million. Phone bidders pushed it higher in real time while audible gasps came from the room. 8.6 million euros. That is not a typo, and it is not a flex. It is proof that at level 7, the bag stopped being a bag a long time ago. You are not buying a Himalaya. You are being selected to receive one.
So those are the 7 levels of Birkin bags. Level 1 is where wealthy clients enter the room. Level 2 is the everyday uniform of serious luxury. Level 3 is where size becomes status. Level 4 is where hardware separates standard from collector. Level 5 is where the bag becomes an investment that some people have made more money from than the stock market. Level 6 is where Hermès flips the power structure and stamps your name into the lining. Level 7 is where money got you close and something else got you the rest of the way. The strangest thing about Birkins is that the most expensive one ever sold had no diamonds, no crocodile, no special order. Just a scuffed black leather bag that one woman used every day for 9 years. That is the thing about access as a luxury. You cannot price it. You can only either have it or not. So, which level do you think is actually the most impressive? Drop it in the comments. And if this is the kind of content you want more of, subscribe. We break down how luxury, wealth, and access actually work, not how the brochure describes them. See you in the next one.